Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi sallim. Alhamdulillah, by the fazl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've been gathered here again, Alhamdulillah, for the weekly majlis of Ascension. And as you brothers are aware, that the adabs of the majlis are a person should refresh their intention as to why they're here, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to travel in the spiritual world following the methodology which will be led by our Honorable Ustad Dr. Shah Alom. As the brothers are aware as well, so we're in the month of Rajab, and the blessed teacher in the blessed holy lands. So one can inshallah try to, once the transfer takes place, go to the holy lands and take some advice from them, and then wherever the ustads mention, and to flow within one's journey. Also, as part of the etiquettes is that when a person does go through any kind of experience or doesn't have any kind of experience, he should still mention his feedback at the end. So when the opportunity is given at the end, inshallah, please do raise your hands and try not to make it that we have to choose someone. Try to inshallah just be forthcoming with this, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem, amma ba'd. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, in these gatherings on Monday evening, as per normal, it's really arranged for those who are traveling the path, those who have learned how to do the spiritual practices and so on. But know that, like our teacher always says, Rajab said, the most important majlis, especially behind our teacher, that we should really participate and really benefit from, and no one can benefit more than this in a gathering, is when the Farz Salah, for example, the Isha prayer is being led here. Obviously when Hadrat Sahab, our teacher, physically had the lead there, or one of our Ustads or brothers who lead. So the aim should be that to whatever benefit you're going to get from a majlis, from a gathering, is the faraid, is the farad salah. So alhamdulillah, in this respect, the main aspect of the majlis, of the gathering, is already taken place. So those brothers who are participating or participated, mashallah, they'll benefit. There are also benefits of the muraqabah than anything else we do, but they are the nawafil, the optional level. You cannot ever replace a farad, obligatory act with an optional act. So that the level of closeness and the blessings that you will achieve in the Farad Salah, in the Jama'ah, you will not receive in any other ibadah and so on. So sometimes you have the notion that, yeah, alhamdulillah, that namaz is done, I'll do it later, the muraqabah is going to start. Mentality should be that, okay, muraqabah is good, I should participate. But really, I should be there for the Farad Salah, which is the main aspect, main centerpiece of the whole evening of the majlis, which has already happened now, alhamdulillah. So those who are here, they inshallah have and should benefit. And in the feedback as well, if you have any feedback, how was your salah behind Ustad Ghulam Ali Awliya today, then please do also relate it, as well as the muraqabah will do. So always remember, be it on a Friday or a Monday, especially when Hadrat Sahab is here, and in any way at home as well, that we should try to participate in the Farz prayer in Jama'ah. The level of closeness and the blessings and the marif you will achieve through this, if you have the right mentality in Farz prayer, which will not be able to achieve this in any other prayers, any other muraqabahs or gathering and so on. So that's what the teacher in recently they've been emphasizing, that your aim should be here. If it's 7:30, the 7:30. It's a matter of rearranging your time. Obviously sometimes things happen, it is beyond your control because of factories, you got a job or got school run or whatever, and then Allah will bless you based on your intentions, inshallah. Just to keep in mind for now and for future, inshallah. So obviously physically the teacher is not here, but the principle and the teaching and because the legacy is still, it's always a living and it's alive, and so we'll get the blessing based on our intention and our effort, inshallah. So like our teacher have been covering the master classes and learning about path through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially for the mentors and so on, and for everybody, the brothers and sisters who are learning. Although obviously I'm learning as well, I'm trying to learn. Just as a recap and just between brothers, we want to just discuss from what we learned from last week. So rather than me just talking about it, if you can maybe do a interactive session very briefly, inshallah, just to capture the main points. So we've learned that last week that there are many ways why people worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what have we learned? So mainly 3 points I've covered, and they said they'll continue more. So so the question is, why do people have a relationship or worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? From last week, if you can recall. Sister, are we on Zoom? So I'll join on Zoom. So if you want to also give feedback on Zoom as well, then I'll obviously pick up on that, inshallah. So if you remember last week, this continuation of the master classes our teacher is covering, I'm just covering, the very recent one, which is the last week one. They said about, obviously, our relationship and purpose why we traversing the path is for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ultimately. So in terms of people have relations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of all type and nature. Obviously there are wrong ones and there are correct ones. So why do people have, just name one if you can remember.
Worldly gains.
Okay, worldly gains, yeah, that's right. Anyone else? So, do you remember actually the title of the bayan last week? That's pretty easy to start. So he was mentioned about up to 15 reasons why, or the wrong reasons why people have relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does that recall anybody? Yes, Brother Umar? Okay, that's one of them, not necessarily in that order, but yeah. So do you want to explain what you mean by that?
They only sort of get afraid because they fear there's no sort of a real sort of relationship.
Okay, that what you said is actually quite good, but it's not. It's actually, you could say, more meek than that. The fear is that I worship or avoid sin or doing and bad is because what people will say. So fear of that, they turn to Allah because I've got no other choice because of the society or my standing. I'll have a bad image, or people will say bad things about me, or there'll be a bad image of me. So therefore, I do this good act, or therefore I avoid this misdeed. So that's one level, as well as obviously people think of punishment and so on, which is still better. Okay, that's fine. That's one. It's very brief for another few minutes. Anyone else from this side? Rajab, do you remember? Okay, you want to explain what you mean by that? Okay. Okay. So what is that telling you? That they're doing it for those things. What is that telling you? That what kind of relationship is this? Okay. Okay, yeah, that's right. Because many people, what they do is they don't really worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purely for His sake. Is because they know He's most majestic, He's most powerful, He owns everything. And by going to Him, because I've tried everywhere else and I've failed, by going to Him, I'm going to get something. So the selfish want of the need and the greed of this world is still there. And it's as though, na'uzubillah, we're using Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now to get my end needs and goal. So that's why people say, oh, give me something to recite, like, azkar, so that I can become rich, or I can have a child if they don't have a child, and so on. So in a way, we're doing like a business transaction. Allah, I'll do this for you if you do this for me as well. And in a way, at the highest level, teacher explained, the munafiq, the hypocrites, that's what they do. If this happens to me, I'll become a believer, I'll follow you, I'll be a good worshipper. So vast majority maybe who turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is because of this notion that, I'm going to get something in return from him. So therefore, I will worship him, or I will actually do these things. And what happens is they make these empty promises that, well, like this is fulfilled, or this tribulation, this difficulty that I'm facing, if that's removed, then I'll become more serious worshipper. I will follow you. What usually happens when those difficulties are removed from their lives, they become removed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead, rather than going close to him, unfortunately. So that's what happens to, so that's the one category of people as well. They do worship, but really they're not really a worshipper. Okay, what's the second or third one you mentioned? Lukwan, do you remember? Okay. So it's good that, this is advice to myself more than anybody else, obviously you brothers know and sisters, is that they usually say when they do bayan something like this, that you should listen to not once, not twice, 3 times in your own time as well, trying to remember, capture those points, because they're so powerful and so has an immediate impact that it affects your life here and now. Sometimes you go through certain things, you feel you're disconnected from the path, doing your amals, or you're falling into sin. These are the dosages of, you could say, medication given that you can apply there and then in your life. You can see that change, the refreshing, the motivation, the revitalization is happening. So another one, mention anyone from this side? Another one? Maybe Adam, if you remember. Okay, Sikandar. Okay. Yeah, that's mentioned by that, you're right, yes. Abdullah? Okay. So second one is that people do it really for love of fame and name. They want actually recognition of people. So they do these things so that somehow they're recognized. And really, this recognition of people and so on, they're limited. They cannot really recognize you or praise you and give you the approval that which you want. Because all these are actually a desire of human being, of nafs. They want to be recognized. I want to be a much richest person. I want to be the most famous person. I want to have all control of power. What is that telling us? What's the lesson that we learned from previous? That having these things, are they right or wrong? Having these desires. The unlimited desire that we have to be recognized, to be respected, to have the rich, to have honor, to free from any punishment or fear and so on, that we normally have. Is there anything wrong with these things? Yes, brother?
No, there's nothing wrong to have these desires because we have these desires in the ordinary law. So it's only natural for us to have these, but we should aim for the hereafter, not for this temporary one.
Okay. So what brother is saying that really the world in the world of spirit, the ruh and ourselves, we've been introduced what paradise is, and the unlimited pleasure and fulfillment of your need and desires, which is endless. So it's come to this world and it knows those things you want to fulfill. But here in this world, it is not possible because everything is limited. So for example, if you have £1 billion or billions and billions of pounds as well, you cannot spend it all. Or the life isn't long enough to spend all that. Or for example, like the example I give you, you have 100 suits that you want to wear. You can't wear it all at once. Or for example, like if you want to marry so many, you cannot marry endless people, endless number of women as well, or have that fulfillment as well. But the desire is endless, but everything else in the world is limited. That's because that desire was born for the fact that we come from another world where it can't be fulfilled endlessly. That is paradise. And the soul and the spirit knows about this and he looks for it here in this limited world. So that's why we have to understand that we're like the princes of paradise. We're here for a limited time, fulfill it to a limited quantity in terms of limited within the halal means, but really to the fullest extent, this will be fulfilled in paradise again, inshallah, if we actually reach there again by Allah's mercy and grace. So therefore, these desires we have to be fulfilled, to be famous, to be known and recognized, really we shouldn't be really doing for these things. Rather, if you really want to be recognized and seek approval and so on, or seek power, then we should really do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for example, the very infallible, mighty, pure creation angels, because they do remember the friends of Allah, the awliya in the heavens, and Allah, those He loves, those His close servant to Him, He remembers them in a better gathering, and He informs all His higher creation like the angels and so on. So if you must, then at least do it for that, so that they actually are giving you a praise or recognizing what you're doing. Really, we should be doing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those are very briefly 3 things why people worship Allah, which are not the reason. So who is the worshipper then? One final question. Yes, Brother Qasim. Ji.
True worshipper is one who, when there's no need or desire, or he doesn't bring them in the way to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he's truly worshiping Allah beyond any need or any dependency on anyone.
Okay, so did you understand, hear what Brother Qasim said? Brother Kamar, did you hear what he said? Okay, do you want to repeat again loudly? Not for everybody, for myself as well, yeah.
So I was saying that true worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is when the servant has no need or brings no need in the way of worshipping Allah, or doesn't have the worship depend upon any need.
So the true ibadah begins when a human becomes free from all motives and all needs. His only motive is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he's worshipping. That's when the true ibadah starts. Before that you're doing some kind of transaction, or you want to be like a slave, you want to relieve of punishment or something like this. So that's a very high level, and in fact those brothers and sisters are going through the course of purification and level of tazkiyah of the nafs, tazkiyah of the intention and so on. You're practically taught and practiced as well. This thing doesn't come but just by hearing. Maybe months, 1, 2, 3, 4 months, when you practice it, slowly some of this quality comes as well. So these are some of the points we've learned from last week. So you should really ponder upon that, maybe even go back, listen to it, and see that any problems or difficulties that we are facing, that when we complain that my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has weakened, then the solution lies in here, inshallah. And you should soul search, and find answers in those guidances, inshallah. So even now, for example, the teacher physically is away, like Brother Farasat said, that after transfer, when we are, with the teachers physically, they're in Medina Sharif, so the extra blessing there in the month of Rajab. And month of Rajab is what? Is a month of Allah, that we should also rectify our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make amends as well. So these intentions that Hadrat Sahib have covered are very much, needed and right for this time, what we want to achieve, inshallah. So you can seek guidance, how do I become that? And specifically for your own self, inshallah, and for my own self. Okay, is there any quick question about this? What we covered, anything to clarify? Okay, if not, inshallah. So I will not, obviously, as you yourselves know, this gathering is not for new people as such, that they don't know how to do the lataif and so on. So usually for first 10 minutes or so, after the azkars are recited, that you should then be in the spiritual state, do the lataif, cleansing and enlightenment, transfer by the teacher. And after that, maybe next 20 minutes or so, or half an hour, that you should be in the company of the teacher and seek guidance. And if you are a struggler, you cannot do the muraqabah, whoever you are, maybe new or whatever, then what you should do is just to stay in the whatever mental state or spiritual state you find yourself in, and just connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go through the asking for need, asking for forgiveness and so on. And others who can't transfer, be in the company of the teacher as well, in Medina Sharif, then you could do the Muraqabah Munajat, where you're trying to converse with Allah, and then hopefully you'll receive at whatever level some kind of inspiration through the angels, some kind of a response from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, represented with a voice by an angel, inshallah, and that could be related as well, inshallah. So inshallah we should prepare ourselves, close our eyes, inshallah, get ready, inshallah. So maybe I'll help just to turn the light off, all of them, inshallah, please. You can turn these off as well. So inshallah, as most of us, or all of us should have or will have read our azkars, the evening Muslim azkar for protection. Just for barakah, inshallah, we can quickly read once the Surah Fatiha, the Kursi and the Quls. And then after that, I'll recite some adhkars. You can follow me and then we'll begin, inshallah. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. Astaghfirullah الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليك اللهم يا ربي بجاه نور وجهك الكريم وبفضلك العظيم اجمع بيننا وبينك في الدنيا قبل الآخرة اللهم يا ربي بجاه سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اجمع بيننا وبين سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله في الدنيا قبل الآخرة اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين السلام عليك أيها النبي السلام عليك أيها النبي السلام عليك أيها الرسول السلام عليك أيها النبي السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. 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 لا إله إلا الله. 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 محمد رسول الله. الله 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 لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah see me, hearing me. He is with me. Please begin the Latai practices, inshallah. Bismillah.
फलक है दुश्मन, ज़मीं है दुश्मन, मक्का है दुश्मन, मक्की है दुश्मन, हुआ है दुश्मन सारा ज़माना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। सबा मदीने अगर वो जाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। प्यार मदीना, प्यार मदीना, प्यार मदीना, प्यार मदीना। मुझे है रंजो अलम ने घेरा, जहाँ में हर सू हुआ अंधेरा। मुझे है रंजो अलम ने घेरा, जहाँ में हर सू हुआ अंधेरा। नहीं है कोई मेरा ठिकाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। सबा मदीने अगर वो जाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। अपने दिल से मुझे बुलाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। जगह मदीने में वो आता हो, तुम्हारे रोज़े का सामना हो। जगह मदीने में वो आता हो, तुम्हारे रोज़े का सामना हो। वहीं पे रहने की आरज़ू है, वहीं का मुझको गुलाम कहना। सबा मदीने अगर वो जाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। अपने दिल से मुझे बुलाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। सदा रही है हुजूर दूरी, हो काश हासिल मुझे हुजूरी। सदा रही है हुजूर दूरी, हो काश हासिल मुझे हुजूरी। यही हो लब पे मेरे फसाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। सबा मदीने अगर वो जाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। ना अपने दिल से मुझे बुलाना, नबी से मेरा सलाम कहना। मुस्तफा 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 मुस्तफा। सय्यदुल अव्वलीन सय्यदुल आखिरीन, वो है मेरा नबी, वो है मेरा नबी। کوئی نہیں مصطفیٰ 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 رحمت دو جہاں احمد مصطفیٰ وہ ہے میرا نبی وہ ہے میرا نبی تجھ سا کوئی نہیں تجھ سا کوئی نہیں تجھ سا کوئی نہیں تجھ سا کوئی نہیں مصطفیٰ 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 شفاع المذنبین خاتم المرسلین وہ ہے میرا نبی وہ ہے میرا نبی تجھ سا کوئی نہیں تجھ سا کوئی نہیں تجھ سا کوئی نہیں تجھ سا کوئی نہیں مصطفیٰ 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 سارے صبح و شام کرو ذکر اللہ دل میں وہ ہر نام ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ روح و جان جہاں ہے اللہ اللہ دین حق ایمان ہے اللہ اللہ دل میں وہ ہر مان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ 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 ہی کو ہے دہرانا 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 میرا ورد زبان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ دل میں وہ حیران ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ میں عشق میں اس کے ہوں دیوانہ 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 اس پہ سب قربان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی کو ہی پکارنا ہے پکارنا بس اس کو ہی پکارنا ہے پکارنا بس اس کو ہی پکارنا ہے پکارنا بس اس کو ہی پکارنا ہے پکارنا حل وہ دل پریشان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ دل میں وہ ارمان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ اس کو دل میں بسانا ہے بسانا 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 تسکین قلب و جان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ دل میں وہ ارمان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ روح و جان جہاں ہے اللہ اللہ دین حق ایمان ہے اللہ اللہ دل میں وہ ارمان ہے اللہ اللہ مومن کی پہچان ہے اللہ اللہ تیرا ثانی نہیں مولا کہیں سارے جہانوں میں گنہگاروں کا ہے تو ہی سہارا آسمانوں میں تیرا ثانی نہیں مولا کہیں سارے جہانوں میں گنہگاروں کا ہے تو ہی سہارا آسمانوں میں کوئی تجھ سے نہیں انجا تو رکھتا ہے نظر
صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
So as it was mentioned at the start, the opportunity will be given for feedback. So really this is the opportunity now. One can give their feedback. So if you could raise your hand, and inshallah. Can you come here? 'Cause I think
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Jamal from Nelson. Upon transfer, I saw Hazrat Sahab. It's like they were waiting outside the Kaaba. As I approached them, I gave them a hug. At this point, I didn't wanna let go. And then they gave my salam, and then they greeted me with a smile, and they put on some perfume, and then they took me for a walk, and we were walking towards the Kaaba, and then this like path opened. It was like bright white and green, and the path was leading towards like into the Kaaba. So we walked on this path, and we walked what appeared to be inside, and then as we sat down, this I don't know if it appeared to be like angels, but there's something came and they like covered us in what I could describe as if I felt the most comfortable and I felt the most protected. I felt very protected at this point. And then Hazrat Sahab mentioned to the nearest meaning that this protection, I mean, one should, no matter where they are, whether one is there, or one is at home, or one is doing the chores, or one is at work, one should always be in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they go on to mention to the nearest meaning that one should always do their morning and evening azkars, and one should, without fail, complete their amals that they've been assigned to from their mentors. One should not go off on their own feelings, if whether one feels like it or not. They should do them regardless, because if one starts to, one should rely only upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He is the most powerful. And then they also mentioned about the zikr. But before this, what happened was these angels, or this bright light, it's like they took us towards the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which was above the Kaaba. And as we got really close, they then mentioned about the zikr, and they said with the zikr to continue doing your zikr on a daily basis. And when one does their zikr, this also will help strengthen and keep that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We then got taken closer to the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Hazrat Sahib started to do like a zikr of Allahu. But as they started, I could hear the Durood being recited. At this point, I gave my salam and I seek permission to return, and then upon permission I returned. Jazakallah khair.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah brother Jamal, isn't it?
Indeed.
Jamal, Jazakallah khair for sharing this experience. The main gist of your advice you received from the blessed teacher is quite self-explanatory in terms of staying in the company, in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, performing your amals. But also, one to understand is that we need to make our purpose, one is obviously the purpose of life, one is a daily purpose. So how to bring the presence, it helps when you start your day in the right manner, in the right footing, as they say. Once you do that, then that day will be different than the day that you started in a wrong manner. So obviously the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these things you can learn step by step. But the one way you can actually get house in order and begin in a right manner is that as soon as you wake up, or as soon as we wake up, that we should think that this day I'm going to spend, whether I'm working, I've got tasks to do, whether I've got appointments to go to, or I've got an interview, or I've got some issues to deal with. And whatever that is, because day-to-day activity could be different from day to day, that you should first then think that I want to spend this day, whatever I do, that Allah becomes happy or pleased, or according to how Allah wants me to spend, being honest and truthful as well, so that my akhirat is better as a result of this. So make the intention and begin your day, whether you're preparing for Fajr prayer, or other activities that you do, and you see the difference and light and blessing on that day. Especially all your affairs will be in order. You're not going to be dispersed, your mind is not going to be dispersed as well. And naturally, if you then put a little effort, you'll find you are able to bring the presence or recall and refresh the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you do the adhkar, the du'as, when you eat, sleep, go out, come inside, go in the car, travel, through these there are means to do the du'as, but then the presence can be brought in. So one thing we should do sometimes what happens is that when you start in a wrong way and a wrong footing, then it's hard to sometimes to catch up, because half the day is gone or a quarter of a day is gone, and then you think, well, I've wasted it, and then the salah is affected, or Jamaat is being missed, or even salah itself is being missed. If you wake up that you might have 100 things to do in that day, you're very, very busy schedule you have, but in that you should plan, okay, I want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what are the prayer times, and where will I be, and if I can pray Jamaat or not, or can I pray well in time so that it's not going to go into makruhat time or qaza period. And then I want to do all the activities so Allah is pleased. So in that you make intention that however I deal with people, with work colleagues, whoever, you have to be honest, sincere, have the merciful attitude, so that your akhirat is better as a result, and Allah is pleased. Just a practice which Hazrat Sahib have covered in many, many bayanats based on a hadith, how the 4 things get blessed as a result, and the 4 things are averted. Then you see these blessing, it becomes like like a thread that ties in all your daily activities, that becomes a very beautiful ornament, and so on. Then you do your adhkar, your dhikr. You can in there also plan, okay, today I've got this schedule and I'm going to be busy. I might miss my 4 o'clock or after Maghrib, adhkars I do, or dhikr daily. So then, okay, what can I do and when shall I do it? And ask Allah to help you. And then as you do your daily activities, so on, but then always in mind you have, okay, I've got those things that you have to connect to Allah, to salah, to adhkars, and through your daily activities as well. So we should all, and like was already advised, and this has been taught in the retreats as well, that we should really refresh and focus on that, inshallah. And secondly, whoever your mentor is, I think it's maybe good to review what adhkar, your zikr you're doing, what tikshees you are doing, and that will help to review to move on to the next the adhkar, the zikr that's needed for yourself as well. So whoever you meant to have a review with them, inshallah. Also, if there's anyone on Zoom, then maybe one brother can read out from the Zoom as well if they're an experience. Maybe also ask those brothers who normally do not relate, maybe opportunity. Or also if you have any questions that you're struggling or you do not understand, or any other obstacle comes in the way that really affects you in your practice, or any other issues, please do mention, do ask about these things, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Dr. Shah Alom.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ustaz Sahab, so alhamdulillah, I've been doing the Muraqabah for about a month or so, alhamdulillah. And I got permission since the last retreat. So alhamdulillah, ever since I've been doing it, it feels like my lataifs are getting cleansed. And I'm feeling like a sort of energy build up in my body. I can feel sort of the presence of Allah, which is obviously the goal and one of the main reasons why we do it. But what I feel is when I reach the crown latifa, and at this point my body is really sort of energized by the nur of Allah. But when it comes to the transfer, it feels as if my spiritual body doesn't leave into the spiritual vehicle that we create in our mind. It just seems that it stays within my body. And then from that point onwards, it's more of a sort of a visualization from myself of especially Hazrat Sahab. So it just feels like when I reach, it's like I'm doing it, and as soon as I reach the transfer, it feels like I don't transfer and I'm just where I am. But at this point, it's a sort of heightened sense of reality where my sense of perception is very high, my sense of visualization is very high. But it's sort of a strange sort of experience. Jazakallah.
So you said something about the crown latifa. What happens there?
So when I reach the crown latifa, I see sort of lights, vibrations in my body, eyes sort of vibrate, etc., etc. So it shows that I'm going through sort of some sort of spiritual.
And this is prominent in where? The white one or the others?
It mainly starts when I reach the orange latifa or yellow latifa, and then it calms down. But then when I reach the green latifa, it increases. Light blue latifa it goes, the purple latifa goes. But when I do the white crown latifa, then it just feels like there's a big surge in my body of spiritual sort of energy. But then when it comes to the actual transfer, there's it just feels like I don't transfer.
So alhamdulillah, first of all, the whole purpose of doing the lataif and these spiritual centers are that so that they are energized and cleansed, and anything that we pick up, any blemishes that we pick up during the day and night, and we interact with people and so on, so those gets cleansed, and then as the light gets poured in and it gets energized, sometimes people we say just think and imagine, but yourself you can feel it. So there's that. Really, something is happening which you are testament to, inshallah. So that is a good thing. That you should feel that energized and so on. Because like you said, the purpose in the lataif, the purpose is that we energize we get our body and our lataif are ready so that the spirit can able to transfer. So when you say about the transfer, it doesn't really happen yet. It's because you go into many stages of realization. We cover in retreat as well, like up to 20. Like say 20th one is, it happens automatically. Like as you're talking, someone could be interacting in the spiritual world. So it's like, you know, they live in two worlds, so to speak. And at the beginning, you just follow by words or through imagination or to thinking or some kind of sense of 3D like type of feeling you are. So that's what you go into, which is fine. But the one thing, what is happening is that whether you transfer or not, don't get too hung up about why this is not happening. It's going to happen naturally. Like I said, already you feel the sensation and so on. And then the heightened reality. That's really what it is. Whether your body or your brain can really understand or not doesn't really matter. But because your soul or your spirit is actually sensing it and passing certain information back, which the mind cannot process at the moment because it doesn't know what that is. So that's an encouragement that you should continue, and it will slowly, naturally will just transfer as you go through. The one thing shows about the green is connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love and the emotional connection. So that's getting cleansed and purified and getting stronger as a connection. But especially the white one is referring to our level of commitment and seriousness. One meaning of sincerity is that you're serious about what you want to do or what you are doing, i.e. you want to build a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your sincerity getting cleansed at a deeper level. Because I know you had your different, as you come through the lessons and so on. But now you're getting more serious, you're understanding what's your purpose, what's your need, what's your role, and you're just getting on with it rather than looking here and there anymore. So that you're getting especially blessed and purified as a result. And more you do so, you'll benefit more because it's like now you know your destination. Now you need to what you need to do. It's a matter of getting on with it. Whereas before, I'm not really sure where I want to go. I'm not really sure what the path is. Now the car is ready. You put the fuel. You know you want to go to Makkah Sharif or London, wherever you want to go. It's a matter of just sitting down in the car and drive off and reach the whatever number of hours. So so you become more serious and more focused. That's what I'm suggesting with your lataif, especially the white man getting cleansed, inshallah. So that's a blessing, mashallah. May Allah bless you, inshallah. Okay, any more before we finish? Anyone have any questions or any issues? Maybe we can discuss those. As well as yourselves know, that we do have brothers and sisters have their group, brothers have their group of the Ali Breeze Ascension group. Please do post when the teacher Hadr Sahab and the Asat's brothers, Ustaz, if they feel they want to answer, they will answer or reply. But if you just post it, then that's fine. They are aware of it, they do read. Inshallah, if there's any guidance, they'll give you as well. But you just stick to your plan. But one thing is, if you do have any experiences now or in your own time, you can relate it in the group. Okay, is there anyone from the Isha prayer experience, the Fajr prayer, who have attended over there at the time? From the Isha prayer of today. Hussein, were you here? Okay, after. Anyone else who was here from Isha? You want to relate anything? Okay, that's fine. Anyone for any questions or any queries or any issues? Usman ji.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Ustad, my question is that alhamdulillah we've been practicing the lataifs, but sometimes what happens is without doing lataifs I start to travel. Even before yourself like mentions when we do the azkars, I can start seeing myself in certain places with Hazrat Sahab. So my question is that do we carry on practicing the lataifs, or should we, or if one can, they can just carry on their journey from when they start.
So this happens what, in the majlis or just randomly?
It just happens sometimes randomly and happens in majlis as well.
Okay, Jazakallah, thank you. Obviously, like the brothers were saying, and as Hazrat mentioned, the purpose is not the lataif, that just helps you to cleanse yourself, so that you're able to transfer and help you to have the clarity and the clear experience as well. So when you are, especially in a gathering or praying your namaz and you happen naturally, then let things flow and obviously relay back to your mentor what's happening as well. So you don't have to say, no, I have to start from the type as such. So let it carry on, because there is a point comes where when you've been doing retreats for a while, you come to gathering for a while, you find as though naturally, automatically, without even the type, that you manage to transfer and have experience, inshallah. And so that is also a blessing, that naturally you have progressed, and so it's a good sign in that sense specifically. But also there are benefits of doing Lataif, because like I said, there's a cleansing process. So if you picked up anything, any blemish, so for example, like you can have a mirror, and imagine every now and then you wipe down the mirror very well with a wipe or something, because sometimes over time maybe dust settles or oil or something, so that could distort what you're seeing in the mirror, and if it's especially not looked after for a while, it gets very, you could say, dirty. So although the image you're seeing is good, but maybe you might see a slight different reflection of yourself in the mirror, because it's got dirt, so it's actually interfering in what you're seeing. Likewise, what Lataif does, it cleanses it. So the experience that you have and the clarity, that becomes more crystal clearer or more clearer or more purer. And so that's the reason why we do Lataif, even especially in a gathering like so, or like we go to graveyard, Hazrat says do 7 breaths and transfer, because whatever you are going to witness or experience, you want clarity. You don't want to see things upside down because of the dirt that's accumulated within our body, our heart, and our Lataif as well. So both have benefits. So whatever the gathering is, or you do practice even for a shorter period, even if you don't need it, or if your mentor said you don't have to. But then now and then do the Lataif, because that cleans maybe what's done in the past, or even of the day or of the week as well. Maybe we do Tawbah, that removes the major impurities, and the Lataif removes any, like I said, the light blemishes or the lesser impurities as well. So inshallah, when it happens naturally, you can carry on and relate to your mentor, but whatever you can, when you have time, still the Lataif, be it a longer one or a shorter one, then that helps you to become more purer in what you're seeing, inshallah. So there's no interference from our nafs or from shayateen, because you're seeking help and protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, inshallah. Okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to share the feedback?
Is there any from Zoom? No? Okay, that's fine. Okay, Jazakallah, that's fine. Thank you very much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all the brothers and sisters online, especially the brothers who have participated, especially from the Isha prayer. So remember that anyway, we should practice and do our prayers in Jama'ah and on time, but specifically, especially in the majalis, when Hazrat Sahib is here, or if they know he has a practice as well, that on be it Friday or Monday, that the main, you could say, the aim of the majlis, yes, there are bayan, there are zikr, which are all good, which are needed, which are necessary. But if you want to spiritually benefit from, is to be there at the time when Imam says Allahu Akbar, or as soon as possible, because that's how you're going to benefit spiritually the most, and the upliftment and so on. And especially behind the teacher, then that goes without saying, that if you want to reach spiritual heights, that's the best time to reach, inshallah. And then can give feedback. Then after that, obviously, bayan will be the zikr, askar. And secondly, also, especially with the bayanas and so on, always go back, even if you are attended physically, then you'll find that when you watch it again, there will be so many gaps, or you might have forgotten or did not understand at the time. It helps you to remember and helps you to your own daily life. Because these bayan, they're not theoretical. They're not just there, oh yeah, when the exam comes. By the way, Hazrat Sahib did say this master class that they're going through, there will be some kind of form of test on exam as well. I don't know what the nature of that is. But you're not doing it for that. You're doing it so that it's like ammunition, it's like a tool that you're learning that you can apply day to day, week to week, when you face different scenarios, different issues, different tests, different tribulations as well. That's when you can apply and be free, rather than get stuck, come unstuck, and then completely, become, lose everything, the blessings and the way and the techniques, and then come back to mentor, I've lost everything. Yes, obviously mentor will help you, but slowly over time, then you can learn to become a better person who can help yourself, because the tools are given. And the mentors are always giving you personal advice, of course, and help to support yourself, inshallah. So it's also remember that finally what we said earlier, that always have a straightforward, very honest relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, if we are a human being, we have needs, we have to be fulfilled. Ask Allah. Allah loves to listen to our supplication and fulfill it. But don't we worship or do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't do kind of like a deal. Allah, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you as well. Only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you do ibadat. But if you have a need, ask Allah, I have a need, Allah fulfill that need for me as well. Simple. There shouldn't be like conflating of the two. It should be always separate and clear, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah. Subhanakallah hamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.